TSA workers got their paycheck this past Friday. $0. Zero. These people work for $15, $16, $18, $22 an hour. They're expected to keep our airports safe from terrorist threats. And the U.S. government, we are not paying them, while threats to our homeland are higher now than they have been in years. Since the war began just a couple of weeks ago, there have been 4 separate terror attacks on U.S. soil. Yet Democrats won't fund DHS or pay TSA workers because they don't like ICE wearing masks.
We had to get dropped off like down the road. Like no cars can get in or nothing.
My jaw dropped. I was like, holy.
If the government is not hungry, why should the people that work every day for a hard living be hungry?
Democrats have a new idea. As we're at war and face the greatest Islamic terror threat since 9/11, they don't want to pay TSA workers. The weekend lines were out the door at airports. TSA workers are starting not to show up, no surprise. And now Dems are saying they don't want to fund the war. Mike Nellis posted on Substack, if you vote to fund the war, you support the war, period. There is no amount of political messaging that will allow you to get away with that. I believe the Democratic Party base will punish you for that. Here to defend, Mike Nellis, former senior advisor Kamala Harris' campaign, author of Endless Urgency on Substack. Clearly, I subscribe. Everyone else should as well. Mike, I want to be clear before I just absolutely throttle you. Were you saying that sort of in a esoteric third-person sense that that's what the Democratic base will do, or that's what you believe?
Look, I do not think that any member of Congress should vote to fund this war. This is an illegal war. Donald Trump has not brought it in front of Congress, gotten authorization for it. I think it's created a ton of chaos. I think it's gotten people killed. I think it's bad for the United States. I think it's bad for Iran, too, for that matter.
So it's better to make America
I don't think you should
lose?
vote for it. It's not about making America lose. It's about making sure that we do this the right way. If this is a just war, Leland, there should be no problem with Donald Trump bringing it in front of Congress.
Well, so you think a Democrat should vote for it then?
Well, where's my war powers resolution? That's what I'd like to see. Let's start there.
No, but what I'm saying, we're in the war right now. So really, you think it's a good political position to not support the troops when they're overseas and in harm's way?
Well, I'm where the vast majority of Americans are because people don't understand what we're doing in Iran. People don't support this. 65% of Americans, according to a CNN poll, don't understand what we're doing and aren't behind this. There's a lot of other polling that backs that up. You're in the minority here, Leland.
Well, I may be in the minority, but at least I'm in the minority that is bigger than the smaller minority. Washington Post poll, March 6th through 9th. Support versus oppose the war. March 1st, 39% support, 52% oppose. Those numbers have now switched now, 42% support, 40% oppose. I'm not good at math, I'm in TV, but that seems to be that more people support than oppose.
I mean, I think the numbers are going to bounce around, but again, those are spectacularly low numbers for this type of military conflict. It doesn't tend to get more popular over time.
Maybe that's because Democrats keep sitting around talking about it's an illegal war and not the fact that the Iranians are slaughtering people and chanting death to America.
Well, where was the United States government and the Trump administration when they were slaughtering people months ago? If they had actually taken action then, I'd maybe have more sympathy for that argument. Well, they didn't move to save those people that they killed. Well, they waited until they got dog walked into it by Israel, Leland.
No, it didn't have anything to do with Israel. It had to do with the fact that we didn't have enough forces
ask
there.
Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio said that's the reason they got involved.
Let me ask this question, though. You're a political guy. Okay, we've seen the lines of TSA because TSA workers aren't showing up. I have a lot of sympathy for TSA workers who aren't showing up because they got to go drive DoorDash to feed their families, okay?
I do too.
The more important question is this. What happens when the Democrats vote not to fund the troops? So you're going to now have pilots and guys on aircraft carriers and people working the base at Al Udeid who are worried about whether their wives can buy groceries for their toddlers. You think those stories are going to be good for Democrats?
I'm sympathetic for that, but those members of the military are going to get paid regardless of that. There's a broader problem here, which is there's supposed to be a process. Donald Trump has never gone in front of the American people, explained why we're engaged in this war, has not gone in front of Congress and gotten authorization for it. If you vote to fund it, then you support it. And I think what you'll find is there's a lot of politicians out there who want to be like, oh, I oppose this war, but I support our troops, so I'm going to vote for it. But the bottom line is, if you fund this operation, which I believe is illegal and I do not believe is in the best interest of the American people, then you support it.
Right, but we can all agree it would be better if America won this war than lost it, right?
What does winning actually look like, Leland? The administration hasn't identified that. How does this make the American people better and stronger?
How about that? How about this? We can all agree that the United States having to withdraw because we can't buy more bombs probably doesn't help us on the world stage, right?
No, it probably doesn't, but neither does Donald Trump starting it.
No.
Can I make my point? Listen, neither does Donald Trump starting a war without any allies after alienating the United States. If there was a legitimate...
no allies. We have Israel, we have the United Arab Emirates, we have the Omanis, we have the Qataris, we have the Saudis, we have the Jordanians. Should I keep going?
We have isolated ourselves from our traditional European allies. We've isolated ourselves from Canada because of the tariffs.
Because Canada, the UK, the French, and the Germans are all beholden to a massive Arab population, and they're worried about their own jihadi threats.
No, see, I don't think that's what it is, and I think that's a misunderstanding of the situation. Why would Europe go to bat for Donald Trump at a time when he continues to attack NATO, when just a few weeks ago he was trying to seize Greenland from Denmark? Why would they do that when he was trying to seize Greenland from Denmark, Leland? Like, come on, it was an embarrassing moment for the United States. Yes, he was. Okay. Like, don't whitewash that. That's what he was trying to do.
Okay, so you want to defund the troops and make us lose, and at the same time keep TSA and DHS closed. John Fetterman, a Democrat from Pennsylvania, seems to think that's a bad idea. Take a listen.
I'm the only Democrat that refused to vote to shutting down the DHS. Now, if we would want to make some reforms at ICE, but we all know that would have no impact on ICE, at this point. That's another fail of not choosing our country over the party.
And you don't think choosing to defund the war is going to be choosing party over country?
Well, I would like to remind you that Republicans are in control of the House and the Senate, so they're free to legislate at any time. Democrats are the ones who are actively trying to end this shutdown right now. Mike Johnson isn't doing anything, to the point that today, Hakeem Jeffries introduced a discharge petition to fund DHS, but not ICE, to hold out for those reforms, get TSA back online, and the Republicans aren't advancing that legislation. So it isn't the Democrats that are holding this up, it's the Republicans.
The Democrats are the ones who celebrated doing it.
Republicans are the ones who are in control of Congress, Leland. They could legislate this right now, but this is the least effective Congress in history.
Well, that is a low bar Leland, for Congress, which we have to agree
Leland,
on.
If you need the votes, go compromise and work with your opposition. They're not even showing up to work.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.